Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be talking about Muhammad, Prophet of Mercy. And at the same time, I want to show you the stark contrast between Muhammad and Jesus. Little bit. Surah Anbiya, verse 107 says, "And we have not sent you, but as a mercy for all the worlds." Muslims believe this verse is talking about Muhammad. So that's why they claim that Prophet Muhammad is a prophet of mercy, which is very strange. Because if you read Sunan Abu Dawud, hadith number 4442, how he actually buried a woman and then commanded his Sahaba to stone her to death. It doesn't show any mercy. In the beginning, actually, it's, let me read it for you. Let us read. Buraidah said, "A woman of Gamit came to the Prophet and said, I have committed fornication." He said, "Go back." She returned. And on the next day, she came to him again and said, "Perhaps you want to send me back as you did to Mais bin Malik." "I swear by Allah, I am pregnant." He said to her, "Go back." She then returned and came back to him the next day. He said to her, "Go back until you give birth to a child." She then returned. When she gave birth to a child, she brought the child to him and said, "Here it is, I have given birth to it." He said, "Go back and suckle him until you win him." When she had weaned him, she brought him, the boy, to him with something in his hand which he was eating. The boy was then given to certain men of the Muslims, and he, the Prophet, commanded regarding her a pit to be dug for her, and he gave orders that she was stoned to death. Khalid was one of those who were throwing stones at her. He threw a stone at her. When a drop of blood fell on his cheeks, he abused her, or he beat her up. The Prophet said to him, "Gently, Khalid, by him in whose hand my soul is." She has reported to such an extent that if one who wrongfully takes an extra tax were to repent to a like extent, he would be forgiven. Then, giving command regarding her, prayed over her, and she was buried. So the woman committed fornication. In the beginning, Prophet Muhammad ignored her. And then, when she told him she got pregnant from the fornication, Prophet Muhammad told her, "Okay, wait until you give birth." When she came back to Prophet Muhammad again, Prophet Muhammad told her, "Okay, wait until the boy or the baby becomes a bit bigger." And then she came back again. And now Muhammad told the people to dig a pit for her. And then she was stoned to death. That's it. This is a very different compared to John 8, verse 1 to 11, when a similar story from the Bible, as you can see. The Pharisees brought in a woman caught in adultery. So now they asked Jesus, "The law of Moses commanded us to stone such women. What do you say?" Jesus, because they kept on questioning him, they remember Look at this. They kept on questioning him. Finally, he answered, let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her. It is a very similar here in Sunan Abu Dawud. The woman came back several times asking the same thing, except the end is very different. And, and the Jews left because they understand everyone has sinned against God. And Jesus asked the woman, woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? She said, no, sir. Jesus said, then neither do I condemn you. Go now and live your life of sin. It's a very different teaching. Sometimes I think some stories are taken from the Bible even into hadith, not only from Bible to Quran, but sometimes to hadith as well. Because there are very they are very similar. Although the end, like I said, the end that is very different to each other, very different. But let me show you again from Sahih Muslim, hadith number 1700a. Al-Bara bin Azib reported, there happened to pass by Allah's apostle, a Jew blackened and lost. Allah's apostle called them, the Jews, and said, is this the punishment that you find in your book, Torah, as a prescribed punishment for adultery? They say, yes. He, Prophet Muhammad, called one of the scholars among them and said, I ask you in the name of Allah, who sent down the Torah on Moses, if that is the prescribed punishment for adultery that you find in your book. He said, no. Had you not asked me in the name of Allah, I would not have given you this information. We find stoning to death as punishment prescribed in the Torah. But this crime became quite common amongst our aristocratic class. So when we caught any of rich person, we spared him. But when we caught a helpless person, we impose the prescribed punishment upon him. We then said, let us agree on the punishment, which we can inflict both upon the rich and the poor. So we decided to blacken their face with coal and flog as substitute punishment for stoning. Thereupon, Allah's messenger said, O Allah, I am the first to revive thy command when they had made it dead. So, Muhammad brought back the Jewish did not, around Jesus' time, actually, during Jesus' time, the Jews stopped stoning people to death if they get caught on adultery. I think the Jews may not believe in Jesus. They may not believe that Jesus is the Son of God, but perhaps they gave it some thought of what Jesus said. Let those who have not sinned throw the first stone. So that's why they stopped doing it. But guess what? The Prophet of Allah, Muhammad, revived the stoning, which is weird. Why would he do that? Look at this. He then commanded, and he, the offender, was stoned to death. Prophet Muhammad, when he's punishing people, he was punishing people, he has no limit. Let me say it that way. And he's a prophet, he's not like a regular guy. Sahih Muslim, hadith number 1684a. Let us read. Aisha reported that Allah's Messenger cut off the hand of a thief for a quarter of dinar read upward. Someone stole a quarter of a dinar, and he got his hand chopped. That's it. So, a quarter of dinar is not a big amount. That's for sure. Even by the standard of that time. Now let me show you from Al-Tabari. This is Al-Tabari, volume 8, page 96. Again, this is Al-Tabari, volume 8, page 96. Let us read from here. Against Kirfa in the month of Ramadan. During it, Kirfa suffered a cruel death. He tied her legs with ropes and then tied her between two camels until they split her in two. She was a very old woman. Kirfa, she was a leader of a small tribe. And her tribe decided to change allegiance. They did not want to be allies with Muhammad, with the Muslims. They decided to help the Jews of Khaybar. And look what happened to her. An old woman. I understand if it is a war and then Muhammad has to kill the leader just to show who's the boss, sort of, But I really don't think he had to tie her up between two camels and split her in two. He could just tell them to behead her. If she was beheaded, okay, actually that's not too bad. Can you imagine the pain being pulled by two camels to different directions? This is a very, very cruel punishment. Even to a quarter of a dinar, chop the hand of the thief. Now, how come in Malaysia the corruption so high and nobody chop off anyone's hand? I don't understand. And a lot of the states in Malaysia use Sharia law, which is very strange. None of the leaders of Hamas got their hands chopped, and they steal billions of dollars. But for a mere quarter of dinar, Muhammad chopped off this, this person's hand without hesitation. And he claimed that he revived the stoning to death. When they made it dead, look at this. I am the first who revived thy command when they had made it dead. Who made it dead? Jesus. Jesus made it dead. Now, whether you are a Muslim or a Christian, you can compare these two figures and tell me or tell yourself, if you're a Muslim, yes, you will follow Muhammad. Muhammad is a prophet of mercy. Because from this, what we can see, from Sunan Abu Dawud 4442, from John 8, verse 1 to 11, Sahih Muslim 1700a, and from Al Tabari, volume 8, you can see how Prophet Muhammad was compared to Jesus. I think any sane person know which one is the real prophet of mercy. If anything, it's Jesus, the real prophet of mercy, not Muhammad. If Jesus, prophet of mercy, and as you can see, Muhammad was not, then Surah Anbiya, verse 107, must be talking about Jesus then, not Muhammad. Anyway, this is something to think about. Whether you're Christian or Muslim, God bless you all. Have a nice life.